Workers' Party chief Pritam Singh has been removed as leader of the opposition. This after Parliament on Wednesday deemed him unsuitable for the role, following his conviction for lying to a parliamentary committee. Prime Minister Lawrence Wong says the decision is necessary to uphold the rule of law, as well as the dignity and integrity of Parliament. Claudia Lim with more.
Those who agree, say aye.
A vote by the House to back a motion to express regret at the conduct of Workers' Party chief Pritam Singh, deeming him unfit as the leader of the opposition. A day later, he was removed with immediate effect. In a statement, Prime Minister Lawrence Wong says Mr. Singh's conviction by the District Court for lying must be respected. He adds that the decision to remove the Aljunied GRC MP as LO is necessary to uphold the rule of law, as well as the dignity and integrity of Parliament.
So I think, even if there's a political cost, I would say that the ruling party would have determined, that this is a price that must be paid. And I suspect that, they will hope that Singaporeans can see where they're coming from, that this is not politicking, but rather trying to reinforce an important principle of governance.
PM Wong has asked the Workers' Party to nominate another elected MP to serve as the next LO soon, so that the position does not remain vacant for long. The nominee, he says, should not have been implicated in earlier findings of the Committee of Privileges. That means WP Chair and Aljunied GRC MP Sylvia Lim will not be in contention. PM Wong adds that the nominee must be able to meet the high standards expected of the office.
I can anticipate that there will be a process of reflecting and soul-searching and careful selection by the WP. I note also that there's nothing inherent in the office of leader of the opposition that requires any particular figure from an opposition party to be LO. It need not be a person with the title chairperson or secretary general or anything like that.
Political observers say the Workers' Party may opt for more experienced hands, such as multi-term MPs like Dennis Tan and Gerald Giam.
But I think the bigger question is whether, the WP, will take up the offer of nominating someone else to be the leader of opposition, and when will they do so? For example, might they wait until the outcome of the disciplinary inquiry, or will they take up the offer immediately, right, and nominate someone, for PM to appoint?
In a statement, the Workers' Party says it will deliberate on PM Wong's letter carefully and respond in due course. Prof Tan says that the episode is unlikely to end Mr. Singh's political career with the party, as seen by the strong support shown by fellow Workers' Party MPs in Parliament. But whether he can stay on as party chief remains to be seen.
So what is a leader of the opposition, and what does the role involve? Let's take a deeper look. Now, the role in Singapore was first given in 2020, at the time after the general election. Then Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong said it's meant to recognise Singaporeans' strong desire for greater diversity of views in local politics and enable the political system to evolve in a way that maintains a sense of national purpose. Now, the leader of the opposition's role is to present alternative views in parliamentary debates, scrutinise the government's positions and actions in Parliament, and nominate opposition MPs to join select committees. The LO may also represent Parliament at official state functions, visits, and meetings. Now, the LO's privileges include receiving confidential briefings on national issues, priority to speak in parliamentary debates, and double the allowance of an elected MP. The LO also has additional staff support and an office in Parliament. And for more on the implications of this, we're joined by Associate Professor Eugene Tan from the SMU School of Singapore. Prof Tan, welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Now let's start with this. Practically speaking, what does the removal of the leader of the opposition's designation imply? And what precedent does this set going forward for how the post will be handled?
First, I think it must be
stated that Mr. Pritam Singh remains a member of parliament, right? He remains the party chief of the Workers' Party. But what it means is that, he is no longer the leader of the opposition. And so he wouldn't have all the perks, the benefits that come with it, including extra speaking time, the first right to reply after a minister's response. So it will be still pretty much business as usual, but it would mean that there will be less prominence where Mr. Singh is concerned when it comes to parliamentary sittings. I think today's removal, sets the precedent, in that certain minimum standards of probity, of conduct, of integrity, is expected of the leader of opposition. But I think it should be remembered, that these standards are also in a way required of any member of parliament, right? But I think the leader opposition is held to that higher standard. So I think the line has been drawn, and I think that's something which is important, but it applies equally, right? As I said, to all MPs and to the political office holders as well.
Do you expect the Workers' Party to nominate a replacement? And if it declines, how does that affect the way Parliament will function?
I think the question of whether, the Workers' Party will nominate another MP, for PM's consideration to appoint as the leader of opposition is an open one. And even if they do decide that they want to nominate one of them, the question is when. So I think both questions are very much live questions. I think that the Workers' Party, will have to look into what are the implications, of accepting, the offer, to nominate another MP. Does that conflict with the narrative that they ran at yesterday's parliamentary debate, on the motion? But I think it's something that is important for Singapore's political development, and it comes with the extra resources, the prestige, but also the prominence, as to the role of the opposition as part of our system of constitutional government. So hopefully, the Workers' Party will be able to look beyond this setback, to see, how they can, while they have the opportunity, to hold that office, to be able to develop, the role of the opposition, as an integral part, of our system of government. And I would say that, it very much accords with their quest, for a more balanced parliament.
And speaking of that decision now, the Prime Minister has said that the next nominee should not have been implicated in the Committee of Privileges findings. Now, based on public record, which MPs clearly meet those conditions? We know that Sylvia Lim is out of that running. Which names are top of mind for you at this point? Well,
I think all the other 8 elected Workers' Party MPs are very much in the frame. But I would say that the front runners are probably going to be, the MPs that have more experience, right? So here we are looking at Mr. Dennis Tan, the party's organising secretary, as well as Mr. Gerald Giam, right, who's head of their policy research department. And both are not unfamiliar to Singaporeans, and I believe both command, the confidence of the party leadership as well. But, I think there will be many different considerations that will go into it, and we'll see what the Workers' Party decide. But I think first they will have to decide whether, they would want to appoint or rather nominate someone else, to be the leader of the opposition.
Now, we know that the LO role, that's not set out in the Constitution. Do you think that this then makes a strong case for it to be, given all that has happened? Do you think we can benefit from clearer, more formal criteria for the leader of the opposition going forward?
Yes, I think it would be good for the office of the leader of the opposition, for it to be institutionalized, right? Whether by way of legislation or perhaps even in the Singapore Constitution. What are the roles, what are the powers, what are the disqualifications, for example. But I think when you look at the PAP government, I think given that this is a relatively new office, I think they will want to see how the office works. It is clear that they are not keen on adapting, the model from the UK wholesale. So the fact that today Prime Minister Wong invited the Workers' Party, to nominate someone who is not, the top leader within the Workers' Party, is very much turning, the convention on its head. The convention being that the leader of opposition is typically, the leader of the party with the most number of seats in the opposition. So I think there is a lot to be said about, institutionalizing the office, but I don't think it will happen in the near future. I think we would be surprised. I would be surprised if that office is institutionalized, by the end of this decade. But I think what is clear, is that the leader of the opposition office is here to stay. It has a role to play, and I think it's important for Singapore's political development.
Now, if you look further ahead now, if Mr. Pritam Singh remains the Workers' Party chief and wins again as an MP, and also assuming that Workers' Party does remain the biggest opposition party, do you think it is possible for him to be designated as leader of the opposition again, or has that ship sailed?
No, I think it's certainly possible, right? Because I don't think you can hold Mr. Pritam Singh's conviction against him for life. So if, let's say, he has a clean record, and his party wins the most number of seats, at the next general election, and he is the leader of the Workers' Party, I think it stands to reason, that he should be appointed leader of the opposition, because otherwise, I think it does an injustice, if I could put it that way, to the office, right? Because he is the leader of the party, opposition party with the most number of seats. So that's something that will need to be clarified. And I would be surprised, if his convictions are a permanent bar for him to be appointed the leader of opposition again.
Prof. Tan, always appreciate your insights. Thanks for that. That was Associate Professor Eugene Tan from SMU.